Hello, America. This is Gary here. I'm glad to see you this morning. I hope that you are doing well. It's been quite some time. I haven't done that many videos in the last several years, mainly because I just don't have the time that I used to have to be able to do videos on a daily basis. And of course, some of you will remember we did the daily show for several years, 2 hours a day, unscripted, nonstop, talking about politics on a macro and a micro level. I love doing that. I'm not going to do that today simply because it would take too long. I'm going to be brief in this video, but there is something that I do want to talk about that every American should be angered by. Certainly, we should be not just aware of it, but we should be moved by this, angered at it, and many are not. Now, there are some that are, and I congratulate those that are, and I applaud you. But there are many people who are simply not bothered by it or simply don't know. But the truth is every single one of our politicians should be up in arms, should be fighting mad over this, and they're not. I would expect the president, the current president, to be angered by this, but he doesn't seem to be bothered by it. And you think that he would be because he always punches back. He always stands his ground on a large variety of topics, regardless of who's going after him. But he just doesn't seem to be. And it's angering to me as an American. So you might be thinking, what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about the recent video where Benjamin Netanyahu describes those of us on the right politically in America. Not Israel, but those of us on the right in America who do not walk in lockstep with his agenda. He refers to us, he calls us, first off, he refers to us as the woke Reich. We're going to see that in a minute, but then he goes on to describe what must be done about it, and that's the part that is angering to me. And if I didn't have video here to play for you, most of you or many of you would not believe me. You would think that I was making it up or exaggerating what was actually said. This is not a grainy video. This is not something that was shot far away. This is certainly not AI. I want you to watch this video. It's in response to a question from a young lady asking about Christians and their support for Israel. She references Charlie Kirk. And this is Benjamin Netanyahu's response. And I want you to listen carefully. I'm going to pause the video a couple of times and offer a little bit of commentary. I'll let him finish playing, and then I will wrap this video up. I want to ask you, please do me a favor. Finish the video. I want you to leave your comments in the comment section below. And let's get right into it, all right?
Christian influencers, okay? You said, we talked about the woke right, and you said, I call it the woke Reich. That's a brilliant observation. The woke Reich, because...
You heard what he said, right? He said, the woke Reich. Somebody has referred to us, a conservative, quote-unquote influencer on the right, referred to us as the woke Reich. Now, I don't know who that is. Ben Shapiro, for all I know. I'm not saying that's him, but in my mind, that sounds like something that he would say. But what Benjamin Netanyahu said was, he says, that's a brilliant observation. Now, again, this is with the insult. This is where the name calling. If you don't agree with me, you must be a racist. You must be a sexist. You must be a Nazi. And that's what this is. Because he's not referring to the entirety of the right. He's only talking about those who disagree with him. The Third Reich. It's referring, it's sort of pointing back to Nazi Germany. That's what he's calling us. But listen to what he says after this.
Because these people, you know, they're not any different from the woke left. I mean, they're insane. They're loonies.
He says they're not any different from the woke left. They're loonies. They're crazy. They're loonies. No different from you understand, from his viewpoint, he puts the woke left And people like you and me and Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly and Candace Owens, etc., you can go on down the list. He puts us in the same basket that he does with the woke left. Well, who is the woke left? Well, the woke left includes people like the trans dancer at your kid's public school or at the local library. He puts you and I in the same category as them. He puts you and I in the same category as those that worship at the altar of the green religion, or the globo homo movement. Hollywood, he puts you and I in the same category as them. This is what he is saying, folks. Let's continue on.
But they're actually meeting on some of the things. And what we have to do is we have to secure that part of the base of our support in the United States. That is being challenged systematically. A lot of this is done with money. Money of NGOs, vast. Money of governments, vaster. Okay? We have to fight back.
Notice what he says. We have to, quote, fight back. We have to fight back. Now, the thing of it is there's nobody in the, quote, woke Reich who is trying to fight. We're just trying to ask some questions. We're just simply pointing out, but you're another country. Why are you dictating to our politicians what we must do? And why are we continually sending you money nonstop every year? But in his mind, that's an attack, and they have to fight back. And I want you to listen to what he says after this.
How do we fight back? Our influencers. I think you should also talk to them if you have a chance.
How do we fight back? We fight back through their influencers. And then listen.
To that community, they're very important. And secondly, we're going to have to use the tools of battle. You know, the weapons change over time. You can't fight today with swords. That doesn't work.
He says, secondly, we're going to have to use the tools of battle. Now, folks, this is the part that, as an American, this angers me on so many levels. Because he is stating here on camera in front of everybody, he knows he's on camera, he's telling us that they're going to use the tools of battle against those of us on the right who do not agree with his agenda. The tools of battle. He goes on to describe that, that weapons change over time. He's not talking about the cavalry, and he's not talking about cannons. He says you got to use the tools that are used on the battlefield in which you are engaged. Let me unpause this and listen to the rest of it. I want to back it up a little bit, and I want you to see this again.
Community, they're very important. And secondly, we're going to have to use the tools of battle. You know, the weapons change over time. You can't fight today with swords. That doesn't work very well, okay? And you can't fight with cavalry. That doesn't work very well. And you have these new things, like drones, things like that. I won't get into that. But we have to fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefields in which we're engaged.
You saw that? He says we have to use weapons that apply to the battlefield in which we are engaged. So he's already described. Now, we're going to make sense of this. He's already described the battlefield that he thinks that he's on, and that is the battlefield of influence. So he thinks that people like Tucker and others, I'm just using Tucker because he's the most well-known right now, but basically anybody on YouTube or social media who is attempting to ask these questions, they're called influencers simply because they have people that watch them. So that's the battlefield. And if there's any question about the battlefield in which he's referencing, he'll talk about it in just a few moments. And what are the weapons that are used on the battlefield of information? What are the weapons of war? What does every nation, every group of people who goes into battle with another nation or with another group of people, what do they almost invariably always use? Propaganda. In the battlefield or on the battlefield of information, propaganda is a weapon. And he's saying they must fight back. It's important for us to keep this in mind because he'll make it very clear in just a moment.
To fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefields in which we're engaged. And the most important ones are the social media. And the most important purchase that is going on right now is class
Followers.
TikTok. TikTok. Number one.
TikTok.
And I hope it goes through because it can be consequential. And the other one, what's the other one? That's most important.
And X.
X. That's very good. And so we have to talk to Elon. He's not an enemy. He's a friend.
There you have it, friends. Now, this is something we need to be aware of. You need to share this with everybody that you know. These are from his own mouth. He looks at people like you and I and says, we are enemies. We must use the tools of war, the tools of battle. He said that he plans to use Twitter or X and TikTok. That's what the sale of TikTok was all about. Listen, folks, here's the rub. He is saying that he is going after our First Amendment. You need to understand, it is your job and my job to protect our Bill of Rights. It is not the government's job to protect the Bill of Rights. The role of the federal government is to see to it that they don't infringe upon our rights. But it's the job of the citizenry to protect our rights. And here's the leader of a foreign country, a country that Tucker so eloquently pointed out could not exist were it not for the tax-paying American. I mean, in a practical sense, they wouldn't exist as we know them today if it were not for the tax-paying American. But here is the leader of that country of 9 million people telling a country of 300 million people, we intend to curtail your Bill of Rights. Here's how we're going to do it. We're going to do it on social media. We've already seen this take place. So many people, their channels have been canceled. People at Gab, they've been debanked numerous times. We were the same situation with us a few years ago with some of our channels and projects that we had. They were just taken from us, and that was that. But he's telling us how we're going to do it. They're approaching this as if it were a battle. And friend, it doesn't matter. If you are a supporter of Israel, okay, I don't look at you and hate you. But you need to understand the gravity of this. Free speech is critical to what the United States of America is. It's critical. And if it were Joe Biden saying we're going after the First Amendment, you and I would be angry, and we should be angry. If it were Donald Trump coming after us and saying we're going to go after the First Amendment, we would be angry at that, and we should be angry at that. But if it's the leader of a foreign country, we should be more angry at that. We should have an attitude about us that says, hell no, you're not coming after our First Amendment. We're not giving an inch on that. But for some reason, when it's the leader of this particular foreign country, you've got a lot of people on the right cheering, going after, yay, yeah, well, let's give up our First Amendment. Let's surrender what we can say because we don't want to offend him. After all, I don't want to be labeled part of the woke Reich. Folks, just wake up. Get a backbone. Stand up. For God's sake, we're talking about our country here. We have a right given to us by God. In America, we don't think that our rights were given to us by the government. We have a mindset about us that says from the very founding of our country, our rights were given to us by God. The right to free speech. And government shall not infringe upon that right. No government, not just our government, but any government, shall not infringe upon our right of free speech. You ought to be angry. May the Lord bless you. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. Leave your comments in the comment section.